Psst! Are you ready for a story packed with clever tricks, sneaky disguises, and a very wise leader? Then get ready for The Cat, the Mice, and the Wise Old Rat.
Once upon a time, in a cozy little home with tiny nooks and crannies, lived a cat so incredibly watchful. He was a sleek, fluffy, orange tabby cat with bright green eyes, always on the lookout. The tiny, gray mice, with their shiny black button eyes and long, thin tails, hardly dared show the tip of their small whiskers. Every shadow seemed to be the cat, making them shiver with fear. They worried he might pounce and eat them alive at any moment. This cautious furry friend seemed to be everywhere at once, his sharp claws always ready for action. The cat's endless watchfulness made the mice very, very nervous. They were so scared they kept to their cozy dens almost all the time. Their little homes, deep within the walls, became their safest haven. Days turned into nights, and still the tiny mice stayed hidden, dreaming of cheese, but too afraid to venture out. The cat, a playful orange tabby, noticed this quietness and frowned, for he was growing quite hungry. Thought the hungry cat, a sleek, fluffy orange tabby with bright green eyes, tapping his paw thoughtfully. My usual pouncing hasn't worked. I need a clever plan indeed. He knew he wouldn't catch any mice if they stayed hidden forever. So, with a mischievous sparkle in his vivid green eyes, he decided to use his wits. He looked around the room, up at the shelves, and an idea slowly began to form in his clever cat brain. One sunny afternoon, the sleek, fluffy orange tabby cat with bright green eyes climbed carefully onto a high wooden shelf. With a bit of a stretch and a wiggle, he looked like he was playfully exploring. Then, with surprising agility, he hung himself from the shelf, upside down. He clung tightly to some old ropes with just one paw, letting his body dangle limply as if he were completely still and lifeless. Slowly, hesitantly, the tiny gray mice, with their shiny black button eyes, began to peep out from their hidden holes. Peep! Went one little mouse. They saw the sleek, fluffy, orange tabby cat, medium-sized, hanging upside down from the shelf. "Look," whispered a mouse to the others. "He's just hanging there." They wondered if he had been hung up as a punishment for some naughty cat trick. Very timidly at first, with soft sniff-sniff sounds, the brave little mice stuck out their small heads. Their tiny pink noses twitched as they carefully sniffed the air. They were still so cautious, scampering a bit closer, then quickly retreating. Nothing stirred on the shelf. The sleek, fluffy orange tabby cat with bright green eyes remained perfectly still, a silent, furry statue. Convinced that the danger had passed, a wave of excitement spread through the little mouse community. "Hooray!" they seemed to squeak with silent glee. All the tiny gray mice, with their shiny black button eyes, then trooped joyfully out into the open room. It was a grand celebration, a happy dance to mark the cat's supposed demise, every tail swishing with delight. Suddenly, with a surprising whoosh, the sleek, fluffy orange tabby cat with bright green eyes let go of his grip. He dropped from the shelf with a soft thump onto the floor below. Before the celebrating small gray mice could even understand what was happening, or recover from their shocked surprise, he was already in motion. "Screech!" cried a few mice, but it was too late. He pounced straight into their midst. In a flash, the sleek, fluffy orange tabby cat with bright green eyes had caught a few unlucky mice. The remaining terrified small gray mice, with their shiny black button eyes, scattered in every direction, disappearing back into their hidden dens more strictly than ever before. Yet the cunning cat, still a bit hungry despite his earlier success, knew he had to try another trick. He still craved more adventure and, of course, more mice. The clever cat, a sleek, fluffy orange tabby with bright green eyes, thought of a new, even trickier plan. He tiptoed into the pantry, where a big bin of soft white flour sat invitingly. With a playful thump and a happy roll, he threw himself right into the flour, rolling over and over until every inch of his fur was completely covered. He looked like a fluffy white cloud, no longer an orange tabby cat, now disguised as a soft, white lump of flour. The cat, a sleek, fluffy orange tabby with bright green eyes hiding beneath the white powder, gently laid down in the flour bin. He tried to look as much like an ordinary pile of flour as possible, but secretly, one bright green eye remained cunningly open, peeking out from the floury depths. He was patiently waiting, hoping the tiny mice would believe his disguise. Sure enough, after a little while, the tiny gray mice, with their shiny black button eyes, slowly, cautiously, began to emerge from their hiding spots again. Their tummies rumbled, and the lure of tasty crumbs was too strong to resist for long. "Squeak, squeak!" they chattered softly, thinking everything was safe. The sleek, fluffy orange tabby cat, hidden within the flour bin, watched them, his heart doing a little happy jig. Just as the sleek, fluffy orange tabby cat with bright green eyes imagined a plump young mouse was almost within his grasp, an old rat appeared. He was a wise, older brown rat with smart dark eyes and a slightly grizzled muzzle, much larger than the tiny mice, about half the size of the cat. He had lost part of his tail in a past adventure, making him extra cautious. He sat at a safe distance from a small hole in the wall where he lived. "Take care, my little friends," cried the old rat, his voice a raspy whisper. He was a wise, older brown rat with smart, dark eyes about half the size of the cat. "That may look like an innocent heap of white meal, but something feels very wrong to my whiskers." He squinted at the flour bin, then looked at the approaching small gray mice, about 1/10 the size of the cat, with concern. "It looks to me very much like that tricky cat," he warned them gravely. The old rat, a wise, older brown rat, knew all about clever tricks and hidden dangers. "Whatever it truly is," he continued, with a serious sniff of his experienced nose, "it is always wisest to keep a safe distance from anything that seems too good to be true." The small gray mice gasped, their tiny black button eyes wide with understanding. They quickly turned around, deciding that a safe, empty stomach was much better than a risky, full one. And so, the clever cat, a sleek, fluffy orange tabby with bright green eyes, learned that sometimes even the best disguises can't fool everyone. The wise old rat, an older brown rat, with smart dark eyes, taught everyone that a little bit of caution and wise advice can save you from big trouble. It is always smart to think twice and look closely, especially when something seems too easy or too good. Safety and watchfulness, not trickery, are the best ways to live happily.
Ever dreamed of being the hero? Now you get to be the star. Your adventure starts at TalesMio. Visit talesmio.com now.